have to cry no more. And we won't have to cry no more.
We're rolling. Eat Sleep Train podcast. Back on the couches with Muzz and Link. We're talking about competition today. Is there anything that we need to mention about anything? No, not really. We don't have any sponsors yet to talk about. I mean, you do, Fuji.
Yep. Thanks to my sponsor, Fuji Sports. Pretty awesome. Go and check out their website and their Instagram.
Yep.
We probably should say that we have heard loud and clear the demands for more John Will.
Yeah.
And we're working on it. It's
Yeah,
not
we
so
are
easy,
working
but
on it.
we're working on it.
We are working on it. Everyone's been messaging us about wanting a part 3 and 4, which is all good. But today we're talking about competition, which is can be a really big part of jiu-jitsu for some people, but not for everyone. So we're going to kind of break it down into a couple of different areas. And one of the things that we wanted to kick off with was the idea of why we compete. And not in the sense of what do we get out of it, but rather what compels us to compete. We all compete, and we've each of us have taken time off competition for different reasons over the years. So you're on my left. So do you want to kick it off about what it was that maybe started compelling you to compete? Because that can change. What starts you off can be not necessarily what keeps you competing later on.
So we'll start at the start and we'll deal with why we compete now later. Because I think there are, for most of us, they're different things. They're definitely different things.
Yeah,
now.
100%. Did I just throw you under the bus?
No. I'm just trying to think of a way to say it somewhat concisely and so people can understand. Firstly, I think I'll say I've always been competitive in martial arts. So I came from Muay Thai, competitive Muay Thai, to Jiu-Jitsu. I didn't start, a lot of people talk about how they started Jiu-Jitsu for self-defense. I didn't start Jiu-Jitsu for self-defense. I already knew how to elbow people and knee people in the face. So, I don't really need a bridge and roll. Like I don't get into that many fights. I don't get into that many fights. But I mean, jiu-jitsu is good for self-defense.
Northern
as well.
suburbs,
but
mate.
I didn't look at jiu-jitsu and go, "Oh, I want to learn."
By the time you were on the ground, you were usually cuffed. That's what you're saying.
And pepper sprayed. That did happen once. I'll tell the story one day. It wasn't my fault, I promise. I was young too. 34. No. So I didn't come to jiu-jitsu from a self-defense perspective. I come to jiu-jitsu because obviously I'd seen the UFC when I was young. And then by the time I kind of got bored with Muay Thai, I'd started exploring jiu-jitsu with one of my pad holders. And it was just fun. I literally came to jiu-jitsu because, it's effective, and that's always in your mind. Like, I wouldn't go to taekwondo because I know it doesn't really work. So no matter how much fun it is, it's kind of weird. You know what I mean? But I just enjoyed jiu-jitsu for jiu-jitsu's sake, and I always had it in my mind that I wanted to compete. And I think I just wanted, and it's probably not that much different now, but we'll talk about that later. I just wanted to compete because I enjoy training like an athlete. I enjoy that process. I enjoy having a goal, trying to tick off a goal. I enjoy, even back then, especially back then, I enjoyed the idea of competing and the training process, so learning and improving during the competition, much more than the moment on the mat. Because some of the moments on the mat, like white and blue belt, I definitely had them moments where I'm like, what am I doing? This guy's on top of me trying to kill me. I could be at home on the couch. You get those moments in your brain. I definitely had those in white and blue belt. But the whole thing, I just enjoyed the whole, I guess, competitor's lifestyle, having a bit of a focus and stuff. So I think initially that's what drew me to competing. I knew it would help my jiu-jitsu, but I just enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
Like it's weird, there's listened to someone on the podcast the other day and they said there's like type A fun and type B fun. So like type A fun is when you're in the moment, you're like, fuck yeah, this is fun. I'm loving this. And type B fun is when you're in the moment, you're like, whoa, this sucks. This is hard to jiu-jitsu comp. In this case, it was like climbing a hill on a bicycle, right? And you're like, this is hell. But then when you're finished, maybe 30 minutes has gone by or a day's gone by, you're like, that was really good. I'd like to do that again.
Yep.
That's type B fun. So definitely white and blue belt was type B fun for me.
It's a really interesting way of...
That's really, it's cool.
Yeah, I've never thought of it that way, but
I'm
That's-
basically
that's a good
type
point.
B fun every time I exercise.
Muzz, you had MMA fights before you did jits competition, so that's a bit weird. Usually it's the other way around.
It's super weird because I was thinking about this last night. Before I'd done martial arts for most of my life, but very traditional karate and taekwondo and all that kind of stuff. And I remember giving up on it when I saw high school was a bit rough, and I saw a couple of seniors having a fight, and this one guy stepped back and literally head kicked, like full karate style with the flicks and stuff. Head kicked the other guy probably 7 to 10 times. And the other dude literally just stood there, laughed at him, and knocked him out with one punch. And I was like, fuck, what have I been doing?
Yep.
I've it just...
As
So-
in, strikes don't necessarily work.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Well, they work for one of them.
Punch
it
worked.
did. I think I
Boxing.
was sold on the romanticism of martial arts by Bruce Lee when I was young, and
We all were.
Yeah, and look how you're a kid, so the movies are real. Surely all that flashy shit works, and so everything I felt like I'd been practicing, I thought was actually legitimate, and then I saw it in a legitimate situation, and I was like, well, that is total shit. It's not. A punch to the head is legitimate. And so I just stopped. And then a mate of mine who was an oceanic and champ in judo and was training for the Olympics found a shoot fighting place and thought it was awesome because you could do weaponry and shoot fighting and Muay Thai. And I went along and did that. And I... much like Link with Jiu-Jitsu, I just found all of them really enjoyable, which is why I stuck at it. No real purpose other than just loving it. And then my coach was a fanatic about fighting. And so Vale-Tudo events started popping up, and he started organizing those as well. And he's like, a few of the guys are going in it. Do you want to go in it? And I'm like, okay. So it was never like, I used to shit my pants on the rugby field and all sorts.
Metaphorically.
Yeah, basically. The smallest, all these islanders playing rugby in
Yeah.
New Zealand, and then this small little white dude running up through the middle of the line. And I remember my rugby team saying, why are we even passing the ball to him? Okay. So that was a boost to the self-confidence, and it was fair call because, I'd run in the other direction from everyone. So it was just, I was thinking to myself, what a bizarre thing to accept, Never thought of myself as competitive, and the first thing you do is go and accept a Vale-Tudo match. Anyway, so lost decision on that. Next competition was a gi and no gi comp, and the first guy I come up against in the gi section is, like an oceanic champion, a black belt, and I'm a white belt. There are no belts that I was aware of. There was no jiu-jitsu, it was shoot fighting, right? So I was like a white belt in shoot fighting. And this guy, what do you do when you're a white belt? You go to guard, right? So I go to guard.
We're still talking about Vale-Tudo fight, right?
No. This is a gi match,
sorry.
the second comp.
Yeah.
And the judo guy comes into my close guard and he Ezekiel chokes me.
Embarrassing.
Yes, but I'd never seen that before in my life. And he did it to everyone that day. And I'm like to Jeff, what just happened? And he's like, that's an Ezekiel choke. Thanks. Yeah, you should defend it like this, not by pushing.
Yep.
Which everyone did straight away because you shit your pants and you push.
Which works for cross chokes, though.
Yeah, it works
And
for
that's-
every other choke except for Ezekiel, basically.
Yeah, and that's kind of why Ezekiel's a little bit of a, for lack of a better phrase, a trick. You'll get caught with it a couple of times, then you're like, I just got to grab the hands.
And then I had some no-gi matches in the same thing. And basically, both competitions I felt like I enjoyed them, but felt disappointed in my personal performance and felt like watching my teammates who how they were performing against people in the same competition, because one of them was round robin, and how I performed against them. It didn't make sense to me because I was better than they were, but they were beating guys that were besting me on the day.
Yep.
And so I knew on the day that it was a headspace thing, and started to change that on the day, and then towards the end started improving and actually winning matches
Towards the end of the day or towards the end of your...
towards the end of that day.
Yep.
And it sort of irritated me enough to inspire me to actually want to do it again, and I suppose show myself that I was capable of stepping up to the occasion, which is what started the more drive to compete.
Yeah.
And then the next competition was the Machado Nationals over here, where in that space I'd got my blue belts and I won my weight div and came third in the Open. And that was a really positive experience, not because of the result, but training like an athlete before, doing the right mental prep. Loved all of that and loved feeling really present and able to just act when I wanted to on the mat on that day. And I was like, that's what I loved, that experience of competing. I want to do that again.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was the start of the initial drive and why for me. It's changed over the years, obviously, as you guys have, but
Yeah, it does morph quite a bit. I think the reasons that we get on the mat, even to start doing jiu-jitsu in the first place, are different to the reasons that keep us there. I personally got dragged along. So the person I started jiu-jitsu with, Clayton, who was the person who gave me my first job in Melbourne, and found out that he was into martial arts. We ended up becoming friends. We watched the first UFC on VHS. We found the jiu-jitsu gym around the corner, which was John Will. And he came from a rugby background as well and just seemed to be kind of like naturally competitive. Like, we'll just go
Clayton.
compete. Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, and so
Go
he
hard.
actually did really well in his first comp. So the first comp came up 2 weeks after we started training, and he's just like, fuck it, and he won his first 2 matches, double leg. I'm saying air quotes because it was basically rugby tackle. But when you're competing against white belts, pretty much whoever scores first and gets on top. If you get on top with the score, real good chance you're going to win. So he got through his first 2 matches, but it was literally like shake hands, like blast double. So he just goes straight away before the guy even had a chance. Like, he's very, very strategic like that. So he could see like, all right, I've got a bit of an advantage here. I'll squeeze every ounce of juice out of that. And then he ran into somebody in the third round who was like just a bit better, like good enough for that not to work. And then he ran out of tools because that was it. That was all he had in his toolbox after 2 weeks of training. I didn't do that comp. I think he tried to get me to do it, but I was like, nah, man. And I kind of just got, caught up in his momentum and jumped into the next comp. And I remember I put the guy in a triangle, but gassed my legs out because I tried to triangle him so hard, and then he passed, and that was the whole match.
That's such a and it's okay, but that's such a white belt thing. Like the many times I've seen that.
Yeah.
Like, what'd you let go of the triangle for? Oh, I was out of gas. What'd you squeeze so hard when you didn't have an angle or
Yeah,
anything?
and I was like, by that stage, I was triangling people quite frequently in training, and because the comps weren't very frequent, right? There was only 1 or 2 comps a year. So the gap between his first comp at 2 weeks and my first comp was probably 12 months. But I know that like the first 3 comps I did, which probably took a couple of years at least, I lost in the first round after almost winning. And I distinctly recall being super, super nervous and having that feeling that I think we all do when you're waiting to step on the mat, when you're asking yourself, why the fuck am I doing this? And there's, you have those little conversations in your head, you're like, if I just walk out now, no one's going to notice.
Yeah. Like this, why am I doing this? And then there's literally just run.
Yeah.
No one will see.
Just get out of here.
My first comp, I was just praying. I'm like, I hope they because none of it was computerized. I'm like, I hope they just lose the sheet or
Man,
someone lets the fire alarm off.
It's amazing what your
That
head
wasn't just my first
what your
comp, yeah.
mate says.
And
Yeah.
I'm just, especially, I think, if I remember correctly, when they called a division, because it was so long ago, the whole division sat next to the mat. Mm-hmm. So you're watching all the matches and you're just shitting bricks.
looking at the guy next to you going, God, man, this guy looks like he knows things.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it, though, but it's based on nothing because they're probably looking. In fact, we know that. I remember having a conversation with you, Muzz, years and years and years ago, because we're old as shit and we've been competing a long time, where one of the defining moments you said for you was when you're in the competition space and it was at MSAC and you got out of your own head and you started to actually pay attention to what's going on around you, and you realize how nervous everybody else is on the mat, and that, or who's going to get on the mat, and that changed things quite dramatically. And that was a quite a telling and important conversation for me as well, because it stopped me from being so inward focused and just going, oh, all these guys are shitting their pants. And inevitably you'd run into people who you're going to compete against, who you've probably fought against a lot before, because, you know, you compete regularly, you run into the same guys. Most people are kind of moving through roughly at the same time. And having conversations with those guys and being able to pull my awareness out of myself and go, oh, these guys are actually really nervous. They're worried about fighting me. And that changed things quite dramatically for me. But the actual reason why I was competing at the start was getting caught up in someone else's momentum a little bit. And then once I'd made the decision to do this, I was like, well, now I've got to figure it out. That was kind of like, I've got to figure out how to make, to be able to succeed at this, and it not be so overwhelming to the point where I don't feel like I can perform well. Like getting a guy in a triangle and then still losing a match, what the fuck? So that kind of experience and going, man, I got to fix this. I should be beating these guys.
And just a quick interjection before you said that there weren't many competitions back then, to give people perspective. I remember going to the Pan Ams as a brown belt with you, and I spoke to a blue belt who was Hegan made me wrestle with repeatedly because he was a great wrestler. I remember, so he sticks in my head.
I remember.
And I said to him, "How many comps have you done?" And he's like, "Oh, this year about 12." And I remember my jaw just dropping to the floor, because I was like, what the fuck? He's a blue belt. He's done 12 this year. And that was about my 13th or 14th competition.
Yep.
And I was a brown belt doing the Pan Ams for the first time. So
Yep.
fair to say, when I stepped on the mat and Charmaine looked at me, she's like, I lost the match before I stepped on. I was gone.
It's funny how much things have changed. Because one of my blue belts he's been competing now 2 years. He's had over 100 wins.
Oh my
I don't
God.
like. So how many? He must have had 100. I mean, he doesn't lose a lot, but he loses a bit. He must have had 130 matches, maybe.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Like in 2 years. So if you want to, like it's at the point for blue belts where nah, I'm not doing this comp. You know, whereas back in the day, it was any comp you would just have to grab. But just before we move on, it's a really good point you bring up about everyone, for the most part, and particularly in the lower ranks, is experiencing the same experience on comp day, because we get that a lot from students where they're like, I'm so nervous, coach. It's like, yeah, but so was everyone else. And one of the things that I used to always get was, I'd look at everyone in my division, I'm like, they're so much bigger than me. Like, why do they all look so much bigger than me?
you
But
said
then I
some
watch the
thoughts.
video, and I'm like, we're the same. Or I actually look bigger than them. But when I'm looking at them before a comp, I'm like, they look so big. But they're not. I don't know what it is that your mind does that makes you think that they're bigger and they're stronger and they must be better at jiu-jitsu because they're Brazilian or because whatever, you know.
Brazilian,
Like,
so on.
I actually had, I won't name any names or anything, but I actually had a competitor much higher ranked than me within black belt, and, you know, I'll leave it at that because I don't want to give names away, but in the bullpen, I'm like, I'm worried about this guy. And he comes up to me before the match, nice, sincere way, goes, bro, just don't hurt me. I was like, whoa. Like that's he's looking at me, watched a couple other matches I've had, and his first thing he says to me is, bro, just don't hurt me.
He's worried about getting foot locked, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think I just obliterated someone's ankle the match before. Wasn't my fault. The guy didn't want to tap, but I was like, and I'm like, of course not, bro. And please don't hurt me. You know what I mean? Like, but it's funny, man, because you don't feel that. You think everyone's like T2, you know, like this Terminator who's just. But everyone's, but for the most part,
you can have those little moments though where all of a sudden your confidence takes a big uptick. Like, oh, you're like, man, all of a sudden you feel like the guy in the division, and we all know the difference, whether it's in the gym or in competition, of how you compete when you feel confident. Yeah. It was very different to how you compete or roll when you're not feeling confident, when you're not on your game. Going back to a point though you just made before about frequency of competitions, because when we first started, and we're talking about for us the 90s. But even in the first 5 to 10 years, like of the 2000 onwards, for the next 5 or 10 years, there wasn't heaps of competitions. One of the reasons that we started running the round robins here, which we started 13 years ago, 10 to 13 years ago, something like that. So we were the first
think I did one in 06
crew to start.
or
Yeah,
07.
first crew to start running them in Melbourne because of the lack of competitions and because of the experience that we had. So for me, the first 3 competitions I lost in the first round, and that took me over 2 years to get that experience because there just wasn't any competitions around. And now someone can have more matches than that in one day because we understand that competing takes practice. So it's not just about how good your stuff is in the gym, but you actually need to practice competing and getting good at transferring across, like the mental preparation, all the stuff. But now it's really different. Guys can have 100 matches in 2 years. Even as black belts and masters, we can get so many more matches
It's getting
now.
harder though.
It is getting
I
hard.
mean, I don't mean it's getting harder because more black belts are coming through, but as you go up the rank,
It gets a little bit thinner, but we still always get a match. Now we'll move around brackets.
We'll find something.
Yeah, like I've fought down weights and up weight classes and down age groups a bunch of times just to get the matches. But you can still get a match, which is really good. But quite often there's guys my age and my weight, which is pretty good. But yeah, that confidence thing is really huge. I think we'll probably get back to that in a little bit. But this kind of like segues to the next thing, which is what we actually get out of competing, because there are a lot of benefits to it. So, there's some other interesting whys, like the compulsion. I think there's some other really interesting drivers why. I don't think, for me, most of the initial drive to get on the mat and compete was predominantly ego-based, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But I wanted to be the best guy out there. I wanted to figure this puzzle out. So I wasn't having the experiences that we're talking about just before, but I wanted to conquer it. I'm like, I've got to fucking figure this thing out.
There must be an ego component to competing. It's impossible for there not to be. If there's not an ego component to competing, then either you wouldn't compete or you'd just let them win.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so,
Yeah.
I mean, ego needs to be controlled and kept in check, particularly in training. You need to train smart. But even in training, there's an ego component. Like,
Well, it drives us to
if
get better.
someone passes regard, your ego is a little bit offended.
Yeah.
You're like, no, let's
Yeah.
go again. I don't want you to pass my guard. It's a balance, yeah? You know that technically and for your own progress, you should be having good guard retention. But there's also a certain amount of pride that you have in your guard, right? Just guard as an example.
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of, just a small amount of ego. And it should be that. I tell my guys, like, you should have pride in your guard. And you should, every time a guard gets past, you should stop, pull that apart, and be like, no, that's not happening again next time. And if you had no ego at all, excuse me, you wouldn't do that. No. You know, my girlfriend's the least competitive person ever, and she's like, I don't get it. I just don't care. Like, if you go to a comp and you want to beat someone, I don't care if I can beat someone or not. But obviously we have a little bit of ego tied with, I want to see the result of this hard work.
Yeah. So
am I getting better? Am I not?
for me, it got to a place that wasn't good, because all it was about was winning. Like that was the only thing. It got to the point where, so for me, I ended up taking 5 years off competition. There was a combination of two things. One was being injured, so fairly significant back injury, and the other one was being burnt out. And I didn't realize how burnt out I was with competition until about 2 years up. Like looking back, I was like, oh man, I've been over this for a couple of years. And one of the things I distinctly remember when I first stopped competing, I was so concerned about, what if someone else wins my division and people think that I fought and I lost? Like, I was so concerned about what it looked like not being out there, because I was competing regularly and doing quite well. Fuck, what if people thought I competed and I lost?
So I think maybe you created an identity for yourself, and then you
100%,
felt the
man.
need to keep that identity and that image propped up.
Yeah. So, which is a really important thing for me to have recognized, because then having that time off and being able to come back to it, I had some really, really clear parameters about when I come back to it, how do I want to approach this, and making sure it's something that's actually really good for not just my jiu-jitsu development, but my personal development, and the experience is good for everybody around me as well. Because I personally found when I was hyper-focused on competition, if I was too much so, I wasn't necessarily the most enjoyable training partner, because every day on the mat I was like, I got to fucking win. And it didn't necessarily make me the most enjoyable person to be around in general, because just that intensity, was kicking in. So it was really important for me to have that moment where I was like, hang on, I need to like pump the brakes on this for a while. And I think the back injury was the thing that kind of forced my hand. But I remember the moment was, the most distinct moment was being in Abu Dhabi for the gi competition. That was the last thing on my kind of like to-do list. Like I gotta crack this one. So won the qualifiers and then go across to Abu Dhabi to compete in the competition. And I remember being out there just not caring at all. I'm like, I don't want to be here. Now, the competition setup back then was a little bit different. You kind of locked in a hotel for a week. You couldn't do anything. You could barely leave. There was no training. It wasn't a very inspiring setup. And by the time the competition rolled around, I was like, I'm fucking over this shit. And I realized I was fine. Like I could win the trials easily enough. And there's guys that I probably would have been comfortable being in the trials, but probably would have done better in the competition because they wanted to be there. And that was the moment where I was like, I shouldn't be out here right now, especially in a competition where you're sponsored and paid.
Took someone's spot.
Took someone's spot who wanted to be there. And I was like, I got to stop.
That's a classic burnout sign, eh?
Yeah.
But we've all had it in jiu-jitsu and lots of things in life where you're just like, in the moment, you're just like, I don't want to do this right now. Yeah. That's generally...
And I still wrestle with it when I first stopped. I'm like, fuck, like I should be out there. Like, man, this should be like, what if someone else thinks I'm losing and, all that stuff. But after a little bit, how long did it take? Probably 2 years of not competing before I was like, I'm okay with this. It took me quite a while to actually get comfortable with not competing because of the ego stuff. Like, man, I want people to see me out there smashing. But probably one of the most important things that happened in my competition process to stop and then come back and change the way I was approaching that. Let's segue though to what we actually get out of it. Because I think regardless of what your reasons are, you're going to get better at jiu-jitsu from competing. And this is something we say to the students all the time. It's like, it doesn't matter why you're getting out there. Your jiu-jitsu is going to be better because of it.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it.
Why are you both looking at me? So I'm supposed to talk now?
Because you're
okay.
Seems to be in order. So you
so
go.
we're putting aside for the moment while we compete now.
Yeah.
Okay, so
we'll
what
get
do we
back to
get
that.
out of competing? We lose a lot of money. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, it's well worth it. And just on the money thing, like a lot of people complain, it was $150 to enter the comp. I mean, anything that you do is that price.
You
You
do a lot of mountain biking and stuff,
mountain
right?
biking. That's if I got a mountain bike race, that's a $400 weekend. You know what I mean? Like entry, license, accommodation, fuel, like everything's that much. Like unless you're going and playing basketball at the YMCA, like and look, sometimes it's a little bit of a gouge, particularly with the whole got to have this membership and that membership. But at the end of the day, that's how much shit costs. Could come down a little bit, but yeah. I think, look, what we get out of it now, probably not that different, but changes over time. But what I tell my students and junior teammates and stuff, you're gonna learn a lot about training. You're gonna learn a lot about your jiu-jitsu, your jiu-jitsu and yourself. But most of all, you're gonna have a focus. You're gonna have something to train for. You're going to need to analyze and identify your A game and put a lot of work into that. That's going to improve you a lot. At the same time, you're going to need to do the same for your weaknesses. That's going to help you a lot. So that whole process, like we have a saying, like one comp's worth like 50 classes.
Yeah.
20 class, whatever you want to call it, but it's a lot. You're going to learn a lot about yourself and about your jiu-jitsu in the process leading up to the comp. On the day of the comp, you're going to learn a lot about nerves. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're also, I find particularly, having brought up a group from zero, from white belt up, you're going to have a lot of fun with your teammates. You're going to have, there's a lot of camaraderie. Everyone's experiencing the same thing. We go there together. We sit there together. Everyone watches everyone's match. And you're going to get a greater appreciation for what you're a part of. You're a part of something pretty special when you're a part of a jiu-jitsu academy.
Yep.
And then post, you're going to have a lot to work on.
Yeah.
So I always tell the guys, look, don't try to work on everything. It's really hard. You get confused. But let's pick one or two moments in the match that could have been better, and let's fix those. And the way I always look at it, I use what I call root cause analysis, right? So, this is typical white belt. How do I get out of a triangle? Okay, we can teach you how to get out of a triangle. But let's go back there'll be one moment in the match earlier, well before the submission, where you could have gone path A or path B. You went path B, and path B led to you getting submitted. Let's make sure that next time you take path A. So it's always, I find, it's always 3, 4, 5 steps back that the mistake was made, the main mistake, which is why I call it like a root cause analysis. Like, what's the root cause? Yeah, maybe you made more mistakes after that, but let's start at the start.
Yeah.
Where did it start to go downhill? Let's try to fix that. Once we fix that, we'll fix the next one. If we just try to fix how do I escape the triangle, you're going to keep getting in the triangles and relying on escaping. And as we all know, it's really hard to get a triangle. Like, it's not easy.
Unless you're against the white belt and gasses his legs out. Just gets piece of cake.
So, yeah, from my mind, and I'm sure you guys have got more detail, leading up to the comp, you're going to be focused. That's always good, yeah? So you're going to have a reason to come to the gym.
Focal point, I think, is
a focal point
really
during
important.
the training. You're going to improve your already good parts, and it's really important to identify what am I good at? Even if it's not very good yet, what am I? So, you're tall. I like close guard. Okay, let's make your close guard game strong. Your pathway to the close guard, your guard retention, your attacks, that kind of stuff. You're also going to learn what you're not good at. Okay, I can't get that amount. All right, we need to work on that a bit as well. But I still probably, at the lower ranks, would tell them to spend more time working on their offense than their defense. Because you can't win a match on defense.
No.
But you can certainly win one on offense. In terms of comp game, not necessarily overall, but in terms of comp game. Yeah. And then, obviously the stuff on the day, but the post comp, you learn a lot.
Yep.
You learn heaps. There's always something. Even if you win, there's always something you could do better.
Yeah.
Or, there might be a psychological thing. Yeah, like I won, but I didn't roll like I roll in the gym. I felt really nervous. But okay, let's look at that. I think that was it.
Yeah, I'm my head will jump all over the place as per usual, but just on the last bit, I've always been someone like the classic, you get more out of losses than wins. I can't say I've ever looked back at victories and seen what I could take out of it from a technical perspective. I would look at things that I did well from a mental perspective and try to make that happen again, but it's not necessarily whether I was successful or not, whatever. But when I lost, and I know Dave and I used to talk about this, as ridiculous as it may sound, it used to make me fume for months, not like a couple of days, and I'd be like, okay, time to move on. And that is not the sign of a good, like a mature athlete,
No.
because you've taken that shit way too personally and have identified the outcome is you, basically, rather than that was just something I did. Let's move on.
One of the things that we used to talk about with that is that we always, if we won, we're always like, well, yeah, I should have won.
Well, yeah, of course.
So there was no moment of joy or celebration.
Exactly. Yeah.
But if we lost, then I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I should have won.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I don't have those experiences.
Yeah,
So we can talk about that later, but just one thing I can always feel like I can always learn from winning. Like, how often do you win flawlessly? Not very often.
No.
You know what I mean? Normally,
Never.
if you tap someone, if you're fortunate enough to tap someone, normally there's 3 or 4 chances of tapping before that, and you're like, I missed that. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to fix that.
So I think
Interesting.
It's an immaturity in terms of like you had done competitive stuff before,
Not
and
very well though.
and it's still, but individual competitive stuff like competitiveness has developed, but it's never like the competitive drive is always personal to be better for me type of thing. And I think it shows just a general lack of resilience, and that's one of the things that I've had to consistently work on, like forever, basically. So that was an interesting thing. I think the thing that I enjoy about competing most is the lead up to, and that will be to steal your what you were talking about. It's the focus. And it just makes me hyper focused with my rolling. If something may work all the time, but I'm just like, it doesn't matter that it's working all the time. It feels sloppy. How can I make it like foolproof? It's fail safe. And so I go through that process. I feel like I go through that process with my A game or something that eventuates into my A game. It definitely highlights holes. It highlights holes in my. I get very reflective in terms of how I approach harder sessions in my head, how I approach other people's attitude and or how whether they're being really offensive with me or whatever it may be like that. So it I find almost more than technically, it's a mental process for me in terms of working out just how I tick and how I can improve my mental approach to my next training session. And when I've done well in competition, I've done a lot of mental training beforehand. Mm-hmm. When I've done poorly, I've sort of thought to myself, I reckon this time I should be okay because I'm feeling all right. Like I feel pretty good. And inevitably I show up and bottle and don't have the tools to bring it back.
Yep.
Because I haven't practiced that enough. So it's a big mental game for me. The number of times I've been in comps where a guy's given me a really hard time, and then Dave will go out and he's subbed him in a couple of minutes, and I'm like,
so
Are you saying you're better than Dave?
The humble brags back. But no, I think this is a really interesting point. And people that know you, everyone that knew you and trained with you regularly would always talk about what a wrecking ball you are in the gym. And this leads to the next point, that most people are going to move up or down in their skill level when they compete. Yeah. So the vast majority of people are going to drop off. They're not going to compete as well in the gym. So let's say in a gym, 100%, when you go out and compete, you're going to drop off from anywhere 10% to 50%. And I've coached people who have dropped off 50%, and they happen to be good enough that they could still win most of the time. And then you've had the rare group of people who actually take a step up.
I think Lockie's one of those. He's a beast, but I think he still lifts it more.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily happen all the time for them, and it'd be a small percentage. I reckon we'd be generous saying that 10% of people compete better than they roll in the gym. That's generous to say to be as much as 10%. And the increase might only be 10% better. Some people, they might compete twice as good as they roll in the gym. But for most people, they take a hit when they step out on the comp mat because there's so much stuff to manage. And that was definitely the case for you, I would say.
Yeah.
Forgive me if I'm putting words in your mouth.
And just to interject briefly, something that made that come
definitely
on.
Definitely for me as well.
Something that brought that on faster for me was early success once I came here. And then before I even knew about competitions, people would say to me, "Are you competing in the Pan Pacs?" I'm like, "I didn't even know it was on yet."
Yeah.
And they're like, "You'll wreck it. You'll kill everyone." Yep. And I was like, and then I started going,
That's a bad thing to say to someone.
Oh, shit. Because literally I'd walk into the gym and Byron and all the other high level belts would be like, "You're going to smash it next weekend." I'm like, "I didn't even know it was on yet," kind of thing. And then I'm like, "Oh shit, I better compete and I better win."
This is a really good point, right? So, just scoot back for a second. First 3 comps, lost first round, hit a critical mass of white belt information, and then won every comp that I went into, with the exception of what was I think JD was running the Australian Cup or something like that. It was kind of because there was 2 different international federations back then. So there was the IBJJ and the CBJJ. Because there was the World Championships and the World Cup, and then JD was affiliated with it, and that he ran this other comp, and that was the only comp at white belt I didn't win. I got second, but hit a critical mass, and then bang. But I was trying a lot of guys in the gym, all that sort of stuff. And I remember when I got graded to blue belt, the guys in the gym were like, "Oh man, you're going to smash it. You'll just smash it." And that's what I was talking about before, with that expectation of like, well, I just should be winning. Part of it comes from that.
Yeah.
And part of it comes from actually winning some stuff. And then you're like, well, this is just what I'm meant to do now, right? This is the minimum of like, that's what I should be doing. But that experience though of it creates an amount of pressure, and it's like an extra layer of shit that you have to try to manage. It doesn't allow a lot of room to enjoy things because you're trying to keep up with the expectations, and then like we're talking about before, they become how you kind of like it becomes your identity in a way. Like I'm the guy that gets on the podium.
On that, like a formative moment for me was Soph actually coming back from the Pan Ams, I think it was, and she had won gold.
Yeah.
And I was really happy for her and proud and all the rest of it, and said congrats. And then I was like, like everyone else did, but was also interested in how little I actually cared, and how little, and particularly how little everybody else cared. It was just like, oh, congrats. And then no one gave a shit. They just went straight back to normal training.
Yeah.
And so that made me go, well, no one actually cares. The only person that cares is you.
Yeah, and this is probably one of the most important things that you can recognize when you're competing is your coach cares in that moment, and your teammates care, generally speaking, but not specifically about that event. Like no one gives enough of a shit that they're going to like you less or more because you win or lose. 5 minutes after the match, your teammates probably can't even remember that you competed. So like as soon as you stop worrying too much about what other people think, and it's cliche as fuck, but it's true. You just got to get over that. And that helped a lot for me, like coming back to competition as well and changing the way that I engaged in it. But yeah, that's a really important one.
I think that's a good one for newer students as well, because I'm sure you all get it. I've said it too, like a white belt or a blue belt loses, and then they come to the gym on Monday and they're like, oh, coach, sorry I lost. And you're like, what do you mean you're sorry, man? I don't care that you lost.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to go out there, have a crack, do your best, enjoy yourself. That's what and let's learn something from the experience. You don't have to apologize to me. Like, there's no, you're not fighting for me. Yes, you're representing your team, but you're doing it for you.
Yeah.
And if you're happy, I'm happy. You know what I mean? Of course, when you see them not perform to their potential can be...
Key word is performance. It's about performance, not
But
result.
if you give it a crack and you lost...
Yeah.
And I mean, we'll probably talk more about this later, but also I know both you guys have said how much you hate losing. When I was a white belt, I hated it, but I don't go to a match thinking, I'm not going to lose. I hate losing. I've lost 1 million matches. The only one I hated was when I let someone obliterate my foot because I was being stupid. But apart from that, if I lose, I'm disappointed. I don't hate it. It happens. I've beaten so many people. I can't remember how many people I've beaten. So it happens, yeah? Like, I think I compete to win. I don't compete not to lose.
Yep.
Well, I try to anyway. But I mean, it doesn't... I'm not going to cry when I lose. Like, you lose, you lose. Shit happens, mate.
I agree.
Just learn from it. That's all you can do. Move on.
And this goes back to like, what are the benefits of competing? Like it creates a focal point for your training. So you get really clear about, at this date, I'm going to step out there and someone's going to try to beat me in front of other people. And you can actually use that to get you motivated. So I'm going to get an extra session in for the next 5 weeks. And when I come to training, I'm actually going to work my game. And so it just creates focus.
Yeah.
It's no brainer, right?
Yeah.
It tends to make you pay attention to the result, not the result of the match, but whether or not your game is working, the mistakes you make. Now, a lot of people don't pay too much attention to what happens when they win, because a lot of time you're just too busy beating yourself on the chest and going, I'm the fucking man.
Instagramming.
Yeah, right, which is understandable. And it's not a bad thing to give yourself a little bit of credit, but it's still really good to go back into the gym, watch the footage, whatever it might be, because there's still going to be plenty of things that you can find in there. I know I've had plenty of matches where I've won and gone, man, that was shit. Like
I was lucky. Woo.
Yeah, like I wasn't feeling sharp, and I was doing some things that were clunky, and he almost did some things here, and he got closer than he realized, like all that kind of stuff. So there's definitely things I got to improve. I've had some matches that I've lost and gone, that was actually all right. Like, that was actually okay.
Yeah.
And it might have been that I just got caught with something that I hadn't seen before.
You know what it is? The originally, in an immature way. Actually, no, it wasn't. The thing that irritated me about losing, and I don't say this in a way to take away from my opponent's skill level at all.
Humble brag.
It's coming. It's coming.
What I'm saying, like, I've lost matches, like a couple competing with you guys, not against you guys, but at the same competitions, and I've lost matches and walked off going, I actually feel all right about that because like I felt like I was in it. I really tried, whatever.
Yep.
You
performed well.
Yeah.
As in performance and result are different.
Yeah.
You performed well to your skill level and the circumstance.
Correct. And the
Yep.
circumstance, you know, like under the circumstances, I feel like I did pretty well.
Yep.
When I've gotten really annoyed is because I know I have undone myself.
100%.
100%. Yeah.
And that's that's the stuff that would sit with me for a long time because I'm like,
Yeah.
I beat myself.
That
Is what it felt like.
You're hitting the nail on the head there, and that's one of the reasons why
100%.
so much frustration is felt after losing. And a lot of time, like you start to win a bunch of shit, and then that expectation comes up. And I think a lot of time when you start to get to the top of your belt level and you are competing a lot, and you know you've got the skill, the reason that you expect yourself to win a lot of the time is because the only thing that should stop you is your head. And that's super frustrating when that's the thing that stops you, not your skill. That drives me fucking bananas because you're not letting your jiu-jitsu happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. That said, I've had 2 matches in recent times, like the last couple of years, where I felt like I lost. They didn't win.
Yep.
And yeah, I was spewing over those.
Yeah.
But for me, I only spew for like a day.
Yeah.
And you know, you identify why.
Mm-hmm.
Why did I do that? And then you have to move on. Otherwise,
I
I mean,
think
when you
it's
do
a-
beat
it's a
yourself up,
test-
then you'll hate training. I mean, you'll
Absolutely.
hate competing. You'll never
Yeah.
compete again. Like shit happens.
Yeah.
2 people step on the mat, right? There can't be a draw. So as
Yeah,
long as
it's
you do everything,
all of this is a testament to your competitive success and a testament to when I competed more often, a testament to the fluctuation in my results. You know, doing well one time, just
Yep.
atrociously the next.
So I'm going to we'll change gears a little bit and lead into the next little idea about why we compete now. And I want to kind of segue there by just talking briefly about the experience I had with having time off. You've had time off as well.
I had time off as well.
Yeah,
Heaps.
yeah, we have. Mine was
3
5
years,
years,
yeah.
which was a long
I was about
time. And
3.
I was still on the mat every day teaching all the time and coaching my students competing. And I honestly didn't think I was going to be coming back to competition at all. But it was about 5 years of time off and, you know, about 1.5 years of rehabbing back and all that sort of stuff. And I didn't think I'd be able to compete. And then my back started getting really good because I was doing my work with Andrew Locke. Shout out to Andrew Locke, best spine guy in the country.
Genius.
He's a genius. And I got to the point I couldn't play guard properly, that was my whole jam. So I was like, man, I can barely play guard in the gym. There's no fucking way I can do it in competition. Anyway, got to the point where I was a month out from the gathering, the Machado Nationals, and I was like, man, I can actually play guard now. Maybe another week rolled by. I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. But I made sure that I was really clear about when I got back into competition, the parameters by which I did it. So previously I was super, super stubborn about, just maybe stubborn's not the right. Yes, stubborn. But what I mean to say is really, really hard on myself. Got to do the opens, can't let anyone pass, all that sort of stuff. And my back wasn't great. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do my weight. Back's fine with my weight. I'm going to do the open. But if anyone starts to underpass me, I got to let them pass, even if it means I'm going to get my soul crushed. And what do you know, open division, someone starts underpassing me. And I had that moment where I'm like, I got to choose right now. Like, what do I have to do? What's more important, being able to train tomorrow? Or, I was like, fuck it. Let the guy pass and see what happens. And one of the things that was allowed me to do that was being really clear about when I step back on the mat to compete, it's got to be for the right reasons. I've got to make sure I keep the preparation enjoyable. So I had to narrow the field down to, well, if I'm competing in too many things, I have to do preparation in too many things. That's going to make me tight and grumpy all the time. I'm not going to be enjoying it. So I'm like, I'm just going to do the gi international rules. That's it. I'm not going to do no-gi and I'm not going to do sub only. That also means that on comp days, I've only got one group of things, like my weight class in the gi, maybe the open. I've also got to make sure that I'm preparing intelligently, and that previously I'd never taken the time, and you guys know this when you're coaching, hear your name called out, run, get changed, walk on the mat. And I never took the time to actually get myself into the right spot. So I made sure I was really clear about that. I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I have to allow myself the opportunity to do it well. So there's all these things that were going on around it. Being the other thing that I was really clear with myself about going into it again was I have to use this process as a time to learn how to lose. Because I'd struggled with that in the past. That was one of the things that we talked about a lot. We just hated it, and it created so much angst. And I had to become much more focused on the process. It's, again, that old cliche. And really performance orientated rather than result orientated. And I still want to win. I still really, really want to win. But I really want to pay attention to the process that I'm going through and how well am I performing. And if something doesn't work the way that I want it to, what actually happens? So I started just looking at it like I'm just collecting data all the time. This is something my students hear me say all the time. It's just data. It's just data. Just going out there, trying to do everything I can as best I can. So I'm trying to set everything up to go the way I want it to as best as I can. And if it doesn't, what can I tweak? What can I do better? Or was there one major element that I just didn't do properly? And there's been a couple of times when I haven't done the things that I know help me succeed really well, that set things up to work out really well, and it hasn't gone that well. And I'm like, all right, I can't be lazy about those things. I've got to do those things. But now the process of competing, it's gone from something where, like we were talking about before, where you're just standing on the side of the mat going, fuck, can I just walk off? Will no one notice? Like those conversations to actually being excited about being there. And previously I'd where nerves and fears and all that sort of stuff would come up, I just push them down and like suppress them and pretend they weren't there. And now I actually take it as an opportunity to come in contact with it. Yeah. So if the nerves are coming up, I'm like, oh, what's going on there? Oh, what's that about? I'm worried about losing in front of people. That's okay. Then I have the conversation about, it's all right. It's not going to change what. So I use it as an opportunity to come in contact with stuff instead of trying to pretend like it's not there. Because the more I pretend it's not there, the more I become fearful of it when it did come up. And you can get good at pretending it's not there in the smaller comps, but sooner or later you find a bigger comp and then it comes up again. And then you might deal with it at that level. So it's like, you get good at winning the VIX, and then you get good at winning the Nationals, then the Pan Packs, and then you go overseas and like it all starts again. So flipping it so it's okay for it to be there. In fact, I want to come in contact with it. And that changed it a lot. So then what I was getting out of it wasn't just about jiu-jitsu. So previously it was making me better at the sport, but it wasn't necessarily making me a better martial artist. So now I actually have this process that creates a lot of characterological development. And all this shit that we're talking about, it's not just jiu-jitsu. It's happening in everything that we do in life that has some sort of stress around it.
Yeah.
So to pretend that we're just talking about sports performance, it's a little bit narrow-minded.
Yeah.
So all these things that are going on here now, it's making me better at everything.
Yeah.
And it's not that I always win. And I've had a couple of matches that I haven't won. There was one
Just
particular
two.
occasion. No. There was one. So there was a comp in Sydney, and I fucked up because I was a retard and I left my entry too late, and I missed out on the gi entry. I'm like, well, it's my own stupid fault. And the price you're going to pay is you're going to go in and do the no gi, which you didn't prepare for at all. And then I went out there and got footlocked really, really quickly.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, and I was just and I just kind of walked away going, well, yep, that's what you get for not preparing, and you should have put your entry in sooner. And I was okay, like, of course I want to win, but it was a really clear illustration of no preparation. Like, that's what's going to happen. And there's some other matches that I lost, but I actually performed really, really well. And they were really, really close and coming down to like advantages and decisions and stuff. And I was, of course, again, I want to win, but I was okay with it because the performance was good. Where, if you go back to previous competing experience, I probably would have been just bitching and moaning and just been a miserable prick about it. Yeah. But I was like, you know what? All good. Like, that was, I dealt with some of the things that in past have been an issue.
Yeah.
So now it's what I get out of it's different because why I'm doing it is different. Now it's actually just about being able to get out there and like, I just want to be able to compete for starters. I want to have the experience of being out there with my team because that is super enjoyable. So what you talked about at the start about type A and type B, previously it was type B, and now a lot of the time it's type A. Not all the time, but a lot of the time I actually enjoy the process, the moment while I'm into it. I like coming in contact with the nerves. I like coming in contact with the pressure. I like coming in contact with everybody's looking at me and I don't want to fail in front of them. Like, oh, this is exciting. Like, this is like, and even just talking about it now, I'm like, I'm jazzed. I'm like, give me competition. Let's go. Let's go. And we've got the
13th.
Yeah, we've got the quintet coming up, and like, as soon as I'm talking about this, I'm thinking about that. I'm like, now I also am much more willing to go out there and try new game as well. Like I'm gonna work some shit these guys haven't seen before. Whereas before I would have been real. The nerves would make me play tight and hold back, and a lot of the time I wouldn't open up my game until somebody scored on me, because it was almost like them doing something was offended me. Like, what, you think you can fucking win? Like, now I have to hustle, or it would get down to like the last minute and I'm behind. I'm like, well, shit, I actually got to win now, because the nerves would just make me.
I've seen you do many matches like that.
John
Win many
Simon,
matches
man,
like
like he'd be yelling at me for like 5 minutes of the match, going, do this, do this, do this. And I'd be looking at him like, whatever, man. And then in the last minute of hustling, like, you set up a triangle and do it. He's like, why the fuck do you just not do that at the start?
that.
I'm like,
yeah.
That
Like-
happens to me a lot.
I
Like,
don't
I'll
know,
win
man.
in the last 30 seconds. I'm like,
Yeah.
why don't I do? I think the reason you don't is for fear of maybe making a mistake or gassing yourself.
I know.
I think
Absolutely.
it's a head thing.
Yeah.
It 100% a head thing, and you're exactly right. So when in the early stages of competing, I know it was a fear of getting tired. Probably because those first few comps I went into, I lost because I gassed. And
Just a
playing
horrible feeling.
playing
That goes back
guard,
to where you get angry. You're like, I quit
Yeah.
because I was tired.
Oh yeah, I've
Yeah,
done that.
That's
big
the
time.
worst feeling. Yeah.
or you win the match, but you can't. Like, you can barely play guard the next match because your legs don't work. But having that experience of having really, really hard matches and gassing yourself out so hard that during that match or the next match, you start to question yourself and you start to look for those ways out. And that made me start to hold back a little bit. So, like going too hard the other way, like, no, I've got to make sure I don't blow my wad. I don't know if that's the right phrase, but you know what I mean. But it's changed a lot. It's changed it a lot.
Censor that bit.
Yeah. But so now it's different. I get way more characterological development out of it. I get much more technical development out of it, because I'm much more willing to see the mistakes that I make. And I'm much more willing to open up my game and go for things now, because I'm not so fixated on, you phrase it really, you've come up with a couple of genius things. Type A, type B. That was awesome. But fighting to win versus fighting not to lose. And I feel like a lot of the time in the past, I was fighting not to lose until the moment where I was like, fuck, if I don't bust us, I'm going to lose. And then that kicked me into another gear. But sometimes it kicked me into a gear too late. And I start to get a run on, but just not quite enough. Like, I've lost matches in the last, like, if literally 3 more seconds and I would have won. But what do you do?
Yeah. I think that can look, that fighting not to win and, fighting not to lose versus fighting to win. A couple of things about that. One, that can look the same. It's more about your mindset. So it depends on your style. So,
Yeah.
like, we've had this conversation before, but I'll put it into context of guard, because I'm a guard player, you're a guard player, you're a top player, but I'm a guard player.
Most things guards for the weak and the needy.
Yeah. Probably it's for the lazy, that's for certain.
I
It's
like
a lot
that.
less. It's a lot less effort. It's a lot
I
less
do.
effort than passing. Less satisfying, but I feel like my first job in the guard is to stop them being able to do anything. So that can look like maybe I'm fighting not to lose.
Yeah, I can see that.
But what I'm actually, in my mind, what I'm doing is, first, I make sure that you can't score on me. Then I sub you.
Yep.
Now, you can get into a trap in the lower bouts where if you're fighting to win, where you think fighting to win means get in and go spastic
Yeah.
and just go YOLO. But you can get scored on real quick and be unraveled real fast.
Get subbed real quick in that too.
If all you're thinking is it's still jiu-jitsu is still about control. Yeah, I need to control someone and put them in a position where either I can take a sub or I know their only exits. Yeah, maybe they've got 2 exits and I know exactly what I'm going to do when they go for those exits. And then I'm going to catch them. Yeah, when I think about it, I do that after the first minute. Usually the first minute I go guns blazing.
Well,
I think about all the subs I've had in like 20 seconds.
I wanna touch
Usually
on
the
that for a
first minute
moment.
I open up and I'll push their buttons.
yep.
But then if they've got a pretty good defense, all right, let's slow it down. Let's pull you into the spider web for a while and see how you go there.
I want to touch on that for a moment because you raise a really interesting point. And this is because of what happened early on with when we're coaching. A lot of time we don't have a chance to warm up, although now I'm diligent about that. Running onto the mat cold and being a guard player, it's really, really easy to blow your legs out. And we all know that when you're adrenalized, like people just feel like stupid strong. So one of the strategies I came up with really early on, probably around about blue belt, was I don't try to do anything for the first minute. I put him in my guard, I close my guard, and I just break posture, let them get that like crazy, freaky old man strength out of their body. And you can feel the change. they have this moment where they kind of just like, oh, none of that's worked. I'm like, all right, now I can do some jiu-jitsu. Because if I try to go head to head in that first minute, I might win, but I can almost guarantee that I'm gonna spend 3 matches worth of gas, and then the next match is going to be hard. The problem is if that minute tips over into 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and you actually never feel good about opening up your game. And that's happened to me a couple of times as well.
100%.
But going super hard out the gate can sometimes be, it's not always the wrong thing to do, but because I think a lot of it's stylistic. Depends on what kind of player you are. So
I think it depends on your. For me, I have a lot of faith in my gas tank.
yeah.
I have a fuck ton of faith in my gas tank. I'll just go and go and go. When I was young, it was the opposite. I had no gas tank whatsoever. So I think it's maybe equivalent of maturity. Most endurance athletes, high-level endurance athletes, are a bit older. And a better technique. Yeah, so the technique takes much less effort now.
Something
You know what I
like
mean? There's more efficiency to the movement.
Yeah.
But I, for the most part, I have a lot of faith in my gas tank. So I'll go hard at the start. But the reason I don't go hard if that doesn't work after that is not because I'm scared of getting gassed. It's because you don't want to be too reckless. Yeah. Because, especially at black belt. One mistake, it's all over Red Rover. So
Especially masters where the matches are short too.
yeah, so I tend to go like that in my match,
Yep.
if that makes sense. For good or bad, like I've never won World Masters or anything. I'm no
Yeah.
Bashesha, but did you guys talk about why you compete whilst I was using the bathroom?
Did, yeah.
Yeah, so
Do you
shall I
wanna
go
show
there?
that?
Or
You
no?
go, because I got to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
Show it to you.
Interestingly, I've had a few people talk to me about why they compete and ask me why I compete. I actually had a student say to me not long ago, you must have your why. There must be a motivator. That's what you need, because that's what he read. But I found by the time I got to middle of brown belt, the start of brown belt, I was competing to prove myself I'm a brown belt. I deserve to be a brown belt, that kind of thing. And I felt like I was young. I started, not young, but young in jiu-jitsu. I started an academy when I was a purple belt. I felt like maybe there was a few haters on that. You don't deserve to be running an academy. Who are you? So I felt definitely the start of brown belt, I kind of was trying to prove something. But now I'm at the point where I just enjoy competing. And I've said this to my guys. I'm like, I know it inspires you. I know you guys love it. You love to watch coach compete. They're like, I want to be like you, blah, blah, blah. Not that I'm an amazing competitor, but you know what I mean? And we go to the comp together and stuff. But I'm like, in a nice way, I like it that inspires you guys, but I don't compete for you guys. I compete because I enjoy competing. It's just fun. It's just fun. I go out there. It's still nervous. I'm still scared. Usually, scared is not I'm going to get hurt or anything. Scared is I don't want to disappoint myself.
yeah.
Yeah. Even disappointing other people, I kind of got over that. Even though every time I compete, I got 30 students watching.
Yeah.
Look, they've seen me lose. You lose. It happens. It's jiu-jitsu. They lose too. I don't care that much about that anymore. As long as I learn from it, and as long as I make a demonstration. Actually, it's a good point. If I lose, this is the way I look at it. If I lose, they see me lose. They see me go back to the gym. They see me work on it. They see me go to the next comp and win. That's probably a much better lesson for them than just watching me win.
I have something like that interests me to ask you about
Yeah.
this in a sec.
But I think that as a coach, like that's because they're gonna lose, so they need to see that process. We all have that process. It's how you come out of a loss. That's probably important. But for the most part, I literally just enjoy it. That moment on the mat, I enjoy. The moment before, to a degree, I enjoy, but there's certainly a little bit of type. In the bullpen, there's a little bit of type B, a little bit. But I never hate in a match.
Yeah.
And after, so again, from sort of mid-brown belt, I got a lot of clarity in my matches. They don't go by like a whirlpool anymore. When you're first competing, it's just like, I don't know what happened. Then you need someone else to tell you what you did or didn't do.
Yeah.
I'm a lot more relaxed now. So now I go to test my jiu-jitsu and enjoy myself and be with my team. And the plus side to that, I think, is that I know one day I won't, and I'm okay with that. And the day I don't want to compete anymore, I'm totally fine with not competing. You know what I mean? It's certainly, every year I'm like, maybe I won't compete that much this year, and then bang, I do 10 comps because I love it. But I'm totally fine with I don't feel that I have to compete for my students.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a lot of competitors at the gym now anyway, so it's kind of built up. But when I don't want to do it anymore, I just won't do it anymore. It's okay.
Yep.
Shit happens, man.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of...
So I'm interested in, like, from an enjoyment perspective, do you think you would continue to enjoy it as much as you do if you didn't have the experience of losing, going back, and being able to win, but
No.
if you lost every time?
Maybe not. But look,
So what
I
do you
can't
say to
I
someone?
can't say that for certain, but what I can say is kind of what I alluded to. White, blue, and I guess to a degree purple. I only had like 11 matches at purple because I had 2 knee surgeries and stuff. But one of those was winning bronze at World Masters. Humble brag.
Not shit.
But there was plenty of times that were not enjoyable. They were type B, definitely. It took a long time for me to be comfortable competing. First it was comfortable, and now it's like fun. Now
Yeah.
I enjoy it. So it took a long time.
So, yeah, go.
The thing I enjoy the most. So here's another thing. Like I'm not scared of losing because I understand it happens now. Now I'm not scared of losing. Like don't get me wrong. I don't want to lose. Yeah, I'll do everything I can not to lose, except cheat. But why are you laughing?
No reason.
Have you ever seen me cheat?
No, not you. I'm just
Some people may cheat to
just
win,
given
or whatever.
given the sport they're in, and
Yeah, well, I'll do everything I can not to lose, but I'm not gonna commit seppuku because I lost.
Yeah.
Shit happens. But the best feeling for me, and I get this feeling a lot, I'm not the guy that goes to the comp going, I'm the best, I'm gonna win. And I actually don't perform that well when I think like that.
yeah,
The best feeling and the best performances, and this happens heaps. I'll stand across the mat from someone and he's got like 5 stripes on, or maybe not 5, like 3, 4 stripes on his black belt or whatever, and I'm like, I don't know if I can beat this guy. I'm confident I'm going to give it a real hard crack, but I just don't know. Then when I win that match, that's the best feeling because that feels accomplished. You're like, I wasn't sure I could do that, and I did it.
yeah.
And that feels great. That's the best moments for competition to me.
Yeah. So what would you say? And you feel free to interject, Dave. What would you say to someone who is doing all the right things theoretically, preparing well? They feel like they're enjoying the process and all that kind of thing, all that kind of stuff, but they are consistently losing. And there's going to be one winner.
Mm-hmm.
They may get third, they may get seconds, but they never get the top of the podium.
Mm-hmm.
You know
What do you
I
say
have-
to that person?
I have a couple of students like that. And firstly, I'll say that they're fucking legends. Absolute warriors. Like the mascot of the academy. You probably know one of the ones. Yeah.
I do.
And they'll step out to comp after comp after comp and get mediocre results. Yeah. Never looking bad, but just not quite getting
not
over
clicking.
the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I have a lot of conversations with these guys. So, firstly, they definitely at times feel down, and that's understandable. I explain it to them. Look, we all feel down at times when we lose, but the overall experience, are you enjoying yourself? Do you want to do this? Yeah, I do. It's just the frustration. Why can't I get the results that I feel like I can get? So, firstly, if you hate competing, just don't compete. Just don't compete. Who cares? You know what I mean? Like, it's not that big a deal.
Just a little asterisk on that. If you get really, really clear on why you hate competing, you can change the way that you engage.
True.
In. But yes,
There's some people that just don't like it. I'm not into it. So look,
Yeah,
I'll
no matter how
push
they
them.
frame it,
I'll be like, hey,
it's not gonna work.
I want you to get out there once every belt, but you don't have to come to every comp every weekend like the rest of the savages. You know what I mean? That's fine.
Yep.
So what I usually do, okay, you're enjoying everything, the broader picture. Okay, maybe not enjoying the losing, but enjoying the broader picture. All right, are we progressing? Is your game
Just open the door.
dog?
I think so. Sorry, Link. Yeah, I can hear it.
Is your game moving forward, and are we fixing the mistakes? And that, even if they're still losing, seeing that progress in their game, and spending some time with them, giving them the attention can be really satisfying for them still.
Yeah.
And then the wins come, all right? So we'll put that aside. The wins will come. Yeah, you keep doing the right things, the wins will come. But I've found, and then I have, some students who like I said, they routinely get mediocre results. Sometimes they win, but usually, it's they might win the first match and then that's it or whatever. But they'll come. Like I've got one in particular who's in the headspace now when he comes off the mat, and he'll be like, "I felt good. I didn't win, but I played my game. I'm not going to say the game because I don't want to identify people, but I played the game. I hit this. I hit that I was working on. Lost by 2 points or I got subbed in the end or whatever. But they're deriving that growth within the confine of losing. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I think you got to frame it like that. Like you can make progress losing your first 10 competitions as long as you're making progress. Yeah. If you want to be out there, we'll work with it. We'll make you better. But take the positives that you can. Don't just look at the loss. And this, I think, comes back to people who hate losing. You can't just hate on losing. If you hate on losing, it messes with your head.
Yeah. There's when the focus becomes too much the result rather than performance. I think there's one of the things we were talking about when you finished. One of the things that we're talking about when you were gone before is learning. One of the things that I made it a goal to do when I came back to competing was learning how to lose well.
I've had some moments at Blue Belt where I didn't do that.
Oh man, I've
embarrassed myself.
That was really the level around the time blue belt, little bit of purple
Yeah.
when it was the hardest.
And you've
sure.
used this phrase a couple of times about maturity. Like when you're a blue belt, you're not. You think you're God's gift, but mentally you're just not that mature at all. Not everyone, but most guys are just full of ego, just running around beating their chest. You think you're the king of the world, and then you get beat, and then you try to blame it on everybody else, or just crack the shits, or just behave like a child, having a little tantrum. I think we've all had one of those. Unfortunately, I'd like to think that I haven't, but I'm sure there's been one or two. But learning how to lose better in terms of the acceptance of it and being okay with it if the performance is good or even if the performance is poor. What was it that was driving my performance in that direction of being not as good as it should be, limited, whatever you want to call it. And then there's actually learning how to lose better. So like, let's say you lose your first 3 comps in a row, but there's an actual progress there. It's like if people get too fixated on, well, I lost again. It's like, yeah, but you lost better.
Yeah.
So like
in the second round instead of the first round.
Last time you got triangled, this time you didn't get triangled. You just couldn't pass and they swept you. And the next time it's like, well, you didn't get swept this time, but maybe they got, you're losing better. So there is improvement there. Analysis of competition performance is really important. And I think this is a whole other thing. Like how do we actually structure training? How do we analyze competition performance? It's a whole other thing. And I've made some posts about it on my socials. But broadly speaking, if you're this guy that Muzz is talking about who just can't seem to crack the first place on the podium, there's 2 things. One would be, is the guy who's getting first place on the podium all the time Pachecha?
There's that.
You're just like you're the guy who's the best guy except for the other guy who is the GOAT. Like, are you the best guy except Hodges there?
Yeah. Or I think a good example is Kaio and Malfacini.
Yeah. Now, and actually Hodges is a bad
Actually,
example.
Cabrini and Huffer.
Yeah.
Man.
That'd be hard, but at the
Those
same
guys
time,
are all still lost though.
Yeah.
That's really important to acknowledge. And I think that's something that happens for us earlier on is because the exposure that we get from the guys overseas, we only really hear about them when they're winning. It's different now with flow and all that sort of stuff.
You would imagine though that they would they've experienced a lot of wins and they would also experience a lot of tournaments that they win.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking more about the people that Link was describing.
What we're talking about is guys who aren't talented, and I'm not.
Or they are, they're good.
We should be careful about saying talent, but they don't necessarily have all the
ingredients. They
ingredients.
just don't perform.
Yeah.
Or yet.
Yeah.
This is the thing, right? So
some of that I think comes into the how many competitions do you actually do?
Yeah,
It's reps,
and
right?
I think it's really I'm going to say it's the nicest way possible, Muzz. I think it's really self-defeating to say you don't perform. You or someone. For someone to say, I don't perform. No, you can perform. You haven't performed yet. You haven't found the trick or the tool to get that performance from yourself. Because everyone can perform, I think.
Yeah.
everyone can perform.
Oh yeah, it's definitely not an absolute.
Should never be an absolute.
It's not an absolute statement at all. No.
And so with these type of students I'm talking about, like I know they'll get there.
Yeah.
And they got there in previous belts. It just took a little bit longer than other people. They got to the top of the podium. It just took us 3 years instead of a year
Some of
and a
those,
half.
some of them are slow burns. They just take a while to heat up, And from my experience was, it took a while to get to enough kind of critical mass of skill to be able to start winning. And then you also need to get enough reps at competing so you become comfortable enough with it that you don't get undone by your own head. But yeah, some guys will just take time, and if they stay at it, they're going to start winning. That's assuming that the coaches aren't just pushing them through the belts really quickly. Like, you've been around long enough, here's another belt. Now, if we want to just summarize really quickly, though, analyzing performance
fairly soon.
Then there's three things, and we've talked about this really briefly before, and I said I've talked about this on socials as well. You've got skill. So do you actually know the technique well?
Technical skill.
Yeah. Then you've got strategy that overlays that. So how do you put those skills together in the context of the rules and your partner's skills? And then you've got performance, your ability to do those things. Now, you can have skill and strategy, but if your performance is dog shit, doesn't matter.
You've also, I think there's also conditioning in there as
And
well.
that was the other one I was going to put. That's the kind of little asterisk of like assuming that you've got the conditioning to perform them. Like I don't get too caught up in that because it's really, really rare that I see somebody lose because of gas. I see somebody gas because they're losing more often.
I'd like to add something to that because a lot of the time people define conditioning too simply. And they just think it has something to do with being physically prepared. Like I've got let's say UFC, I've got 5 by 5 minute rounds. I need the conditioning to last that. No one's walking into the octagon without having the conditioning to to be able to handle 5 hard 5 minute rounds. Everyone has that, but people will cark it because they've either taken a hard knock to the head or they haven't managed their fatigue well during a round. For instance, they've squeezed someone too hard for too long and they've bottled it, or they step maybe before
Adrenal dump or something.
adrenal dump, or they step in, they see the guy, they're like, fuck, this is going to be much harder than I thought. And you got to understand, like, they walk in, I've heard numbers of like them walking in at about 150 beats per minute that they're walking in. They haven't even started doing anything, and that's their base. Most of us would be working freaking hard by the time we hit that. And then they have to perform for almost half an hour. So one of the reasons why I think Link, when he's saying I have faith in my gas tank, part of his ability to last is, I feel like part of your ability to last is your mental state. And so you can't, like when you say, there's no point in going in unless you have good conditioning. But you can have good conditioning, good strategy, good skill, and I think not be in the right headspace.
Yeah, you're right.
And all of it will go to shit.
100%.
I think the fourth pillar to cardio gas conditioning though, and one that I think we need to reiterate to white and blue belts is technical skill, because when your technical level is just not there yet, and we spoke about this in the white to blue, everything's a little bit harder.
Oh, yeah,
you use a lot
sure.
more strength, a lot more energy. It's a little scramblier. You're going to be tired. And then they say, I need to improve my conditioning.
No, don't.
Which is fine, but the main thing you need to improve is your technique,
Yeah.
and your mental game. So, which goes back to like your pillars or whatever. Like I look at it this way. It's pretty much the same, but I look at it this way. You have a skill set. You have strategy.
Yep.
You have conditioning.
Yep.
And then you have competition skill, and that's separate. Like you can have the conditioning, the technique, and think you know the strategy. But if you would say you take someone who's never competed to purple belt, say you take 10 of them, but they've never competed, and you put them in with purple belts who have been competing since white, 8 or 9 of that 10 are going to lose. They might even be better, significantly better than the other purple belts technically, because learning to compete is a skill in itself.
Yep.
Yep.
And you can't do it without competing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You've got
it's-
to compete. A lot
you
of
do,
us,
it's reps.
you've got to compete a lot to get good at competing.
So the
it's
third-
like a separate thing.
So all of that stuff happens in the background, and then the third, like when you made the first 3 points at the start that we were meant to be talking about, the why, the benefits, and then how to get better at it. That's basically sums it up right there.
Yeah, and I tell because I have a few guys
Do
who
it more.
want to be. They say I want to be a world champion. That's what I want to do.
Yep.
White and blue, compete in fucking everything. Just compete in everything. Yeah, compete in everything so that you get better at competing.
Yeah.
And then we'll pull apart each comp. That said, don't compete in everything and fall into the trap of preparing for every comp, because then you're not learning in the gym. So what you need to do, this is what I do and what I tell my guys, is you should rate your comps A, B, and C. Now, C is your regular comp. It's a round robin, whatever you choose. So maybe it's the round robin and the grappling industries.
Yeah.
You don't train for that comp. You do not train for that comp. That comp is training. So it's a regular week. There's a comp on Saturday. Maybe you rest the Friday. Yeah, that's fair enough. But don't focus on that comp, because in training, you still need to be playing and evolving and trying different stuff. You can't train all the time trying to win, because that will stunt your growth. So I do this with my strength and conditioning coach. We map this out at the start of every year. So C comp, you just enter it for training. Don't get caught up.
That's what round robins are, man.
That's what I just said. Round robin, and maybe you might choose grappling industry or something like that. One of the the smaller comps. Then you have a B comp. And so a B comp for me would be VIX, New South Wales state types. So I'll train for them, but much smaller. It might be a week and a half, 2 week camp with a 3-day taper. But I'm not going to devote a month to that comp, because that again is going to progress, is going to stop me from playing and learning and progressing in the gym on a day-to-day basis, because I can't just be preparing for comp all the time, because all I ever do is my A game. Plus, you can really cook yourself. Right? And then I pick usually 3 A comps a year. Pan Pacs, World Masters, Nationals. The Nationals is sometimes a B comp, because I use it as a lead up. It just kind of falls as a lead up to World Masters. But I'll pick 2 to 3 A comps a year. Now, these ones I have a camp and I have a full taper. So when I say compete in everything, but don't put everything as an A comp, because that will actually stunt your growth. If it's a round robin, if it's a grappling industries, forget about it. Just think about it on the day. Just train, rest 1 day still, and then just go compete. But don't, I get guys cutting weight for a comp that doesn't have weight divisions. I'm like, guys, what are you? Oh, I'm cutting weight because who cares, man? It's a round robin. Like, you don't have a weight division anyway. Don't do that. Just train. Otherwise, it's too much pressure.
That's great advice.
Yeah. So ABC, work that out. Do
I
a
think,
calendar.
yeah, I think that's good. But yeah, analysis, it's skill strategy and performance. Conditioning, they say, again, you kind of put that to the side. It's not really a huge issue if you're doing the other things well. And it's so dependent upon the other things that I mean, you can run up and down hills and lift things all day, but if to steal your phrase, if you're bottling because you're shitting your pants, you need to deal with shitting your pants. If you are gassing out because you're so nervous that you try to choke someone when there's not a choke, you know what I mean? And we've all had either those occasions ourselves or had students do that, and you have to deal with the mental side of things rather than try to make them fitter.
I do think you need some conditioning though.
Without I'm not saying don't do conditioning. I'm saying that it's so dependent on other things. So people can be gassing out not because their conditioning's bad, but because the other things.
Yeah,
are bad.
100%. I guess the other thing just on that that's important though is that if you go deep in a big division, you need a certain base aerobic capacity to deal with being there all day and doing 5, 6, 7 matches.
Yep. And that yes.
You got to just train a lot. Basically, you get it from you got to train a lot.
Yeah, you do. And I'm not saying don't do conditioning, but I'm saying that's, in my experience, that is very rarely the reason why someone loses. They might get gassed, but they're gassing because they're already losing. Their strategy is not quite on point. There's some deficiencies in skill, and most of the time, I found, even personally, that there's always a little bit more push there than you think.
100%. The ceiling's always much higher than
which
you
is
feel
again
it is.
why I'm not super fixated. And my guys that are competing at a high level are doing conditioning. They're doing all that sort of stuff. They've got good gas. So it's very rare that that's the issue. But in terms of in terms of where we started out, like what actually compels us to compete, I think it can be very different for different people. But it's, for me personally, it's really good to get it to a space where it's actually just about engaging in jiu-jitsu. If I can use it to make my skill better and to work on my character, my psychological engagement with everything that I do, and it also is an opportunity for me to engage with the team better, that's a win. So it's not so much about the results now. I want to win, but the winning should be a result of those other things coming together. It shouldn't be something that's kind of kept separate.
Definitely. And I think it's important that people remember that you don't have to compete for the same reasons we're competing now. Our reasons have changed, and yours will change too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will change
That's
over the
very
years.
important.
And your experiences will change. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That was a weird moment. Yeah.
It's a
that
sign
was a
out
sign.
moment. I'm about to fall asleep. And I
So
need-
again, there's
First time I put you to sleep, man.
there's a separate podcast where we want to drill down on specifics about competition preparation strategy.
Should we do that next week, maybe?
We'll see how we go time wise, but yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned. There's obviously more stuff coming out, and and make sure that you keep training.
Ciao.
Us.
You're dead.
And we won't have to cry.